church, so what we're going to look at today is found in 2 Samuel 23, verses 9 and 10. But I want to give you a little bit of a setting for what we're reading before we read it, actually. And what's happening here is we are given the names of some of David's mighty men. Now, King David himself spoke about the fact that he knew that the Lord was his strength, but he also had strength in the men that surrounded him and who they were. And what we find here in 2 Samuel is there's a listing of some of the guys' names and what they did and their heroic feats. And one of these individuals that we'll read about today is Eleazar. And I want to read this because it does touch on something from yesterday and also brings us a challenge for today. So as we look at this, I want you to hear this. Next in rank among the three was Eleazar. Once Eleazar and David stood together against the Philistines when the entire Israelite army had fled. Man, just get a visual of that for just a moment and think about this. So the entire army has retreated and they're running. Obviously, the Philistines were winning, and the other soldiers all retreat. But here it is, King David himself and Eleazar stand against the entire onslaught of the Philistine army. Now listen to the next verse, it's really cool. He killed, and this is again specifying Eleazar, he killed Philistines till his hand was too tired to lift his sword, and the Lord gave him a great victory that day. The rest of the army did not return until it was time to collect the plunder. Man, that's pretty crazy. I love when I read these kinds of things. And so let me just stay focused on what we're doing right here. As we look at this, I want us to see, first and foremost, that, the stance was heroic, the stance was necessary, and it was not dependent upon those around. So now as we look at that and see it, we see Eleazar saw that he needed to stand his ground, and he only had one next to him. As a man and woman of God today, I want you to know you need to stand your ground where God has. It doesn't matter what everybody else is retreating from, we need to stand our ground. Secondly, when we stand our ground and we face the enemy, there is a real battle that we will face. And we see, just like I touched on yesterday, the physical weariness that sometimes can happen in our physical body as a result of engaging in the war. And so we see Eleazar here was at the end so tired that he couldn't even lift his sword anymore. But God is the one that gave the victory. So there is a supernatural God thing happening. And in the result of the supernatural God thing that happened, there was also physical weariness that was involved. But God did something amazing. So today, as we go out into the world, church, let's stand our ground against the enemy and understand you may grow weary, but God will give you ultimate victory. May God bless you today, and let's be His church.